James Sciple,
Please spell your last name.
Sciple, from Fort Myers, Florida,
Okay. And your age?
97.
97. Okay. Let me ask you this. How many times did you make trips across the Atlantic?
I spent most of my time in the Pacific.
Okay.
I was in the Atlantic coastwise,
Okay.
rather.
So tell me how many trips what were you doing in the Pacific? How many trips you have there?
I would have to count them.
Oh, just give me
Half a dozen or more.
Okay.
6, 8, maybe.
And who were you supplying with your ships? Who were you supplying?
Say again?
Who were you supplying with your merchant marine ships?
Mostly the Army.
Army? Okay. And let me ask you this. Do you recall any of the names of the ships you were on?
Yes, I remember one was the Ocala Victory.
Okay. And were these Victory ships?
One was a Victory. I was on one fish and wildlife ship, the Spencer Bayard. Most of the ships were military ships. Owned.
Give me some of the other, for instances, the ships you were on. What other types of ships?
LSTs, freighters, tanker.
Okay, give me, if you had one experience that you'd like to share with someone, what would that experience be?
Well, our ship, I was on one, the ship hit a reef in Okinawa and we sank. We settled on another reef and the typhoon blew us off. We started sinking until it blew us on another reef. We were very fortunate there.
You know, a lot of people don't know about that typhoon when they were going into Okinawa. There's a lot of ships that were sunk. Did you see anything like that when you were there?
Sure.
Do you recall that typhoon? It was pretty bad.
I think it was 152 knots. That's up to 180 miles an hour.
Yes.
That was potent.
Yeah. Now that was an experience. So as a young merchant mariner, what was that like when that typhoon was pushing you around? Was it scary? Tell us a little about that. How you felt when that was going on?
Yes, when we were sinking the first time, the captain asked us if anyone wanted to go ashore. We were maybe a mile and a half offshore. There were several ships that were on the beach already. It's just not something you want to go through too often.
Yeah. Were you scared? I mean, were you nervous?
Sure.
Okay. Were your shipmates around you? Were they? I mean, you guys were looking at each other like, what are we going to do?
Yes, because at first we had just painted the ship, the superstructure, maybe a month before, and I had never seen anything like this before. Streaks of paint had just been ripped off. Evidently, it was because we were so close to the beach that sand was in the
air. So you got sandblasted.
Yep, practically, yes.
Oh my goodness. So let me ask, so what kind of goods were you bringing ashore? Were you bringing men, tanks, what?
I think that ship was loaded with ammunition.
Okay. And this was an LST?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you had a difference between an LST or a victory ship, what ship would you rather be on?
Well, completely different purposes.
Okay.
LSTs would go in with different landings, carrying different supplies. We would carry things that were needed now. On the Victories, the large freighters, you were carrying anything from food to tanks to
And you know, a lot of people don't know about that typhoon that hit when they were going in there, when all them destroyers were sunk from the typhoon. And did you, let me ask you this. Once you got ashore, did you actually get your ship ashore, or were you
no.
did you remain on the ship, or did you go to shore?
Once we settled on this second reef, we couldn't do anything because we had several large holes in the hull. After 1 or 2 weeks, a repair ship came down from Japan, put some patches on the holes, and then we were towed down to the Philippines, Subic Bay, and went into a floating dry dock there
Okay.
for repair.
Now, let me, the LSTs, how many were in your group right there? How many LSTs were involved in that
I
landing?
was on 2.
2? Okay, now, give me an experience, tell me an experience that you had, between an LST and a victory ship, as far as Navy personnel. Was there Navy personnel on both ships? Your victory ship?
No, on the Victory we had military gun crews,
Okay.
not on the LSTs.
So, Navy Guard. Okay. And then LSTs, you didn't?
No.
Okay. Now, what was your duty on your ship? What was your job that you had on these ships?
Most of the time I was first engineer, second engineer.
So you were down in the hall?
Yes.
Down in where the motor, you were running the thing that ran the ship. You were down in the hall, oiling.
Yes. The chief engineer, of course, was in charge of anything mechanical, and when the first engineer had one shift, second shift, and so forth.
You know, Jim, I just can't believe that I'm talking to someone that knew about that typhoon, that was actually in that typhoon. I can't believe that, because I read about it so much, you know, and it's a pleasure to meet somebody finally that actually experienced that typhoon. A lot of people don't know that happened.
Oh, it was not something you would want to repeat.
Waves are pretty huge, huh? Well, do you need any more?
Well, I was going to ask him, so you were in the Pacific, right?
Most of the time, yes.
So, you know, we hear a lot about German submarines, German torpedoes and stuff. What were the Japanese submarines like?
Well, a lot of them were right here in the Gulf of Mexico, and probably over 90% were in the Pacific. I mean, the Atlantic, excuse me.
So you were pretty well, you didn't have to worry about Japanese subs as much, did you?
Not too much. We knew they were there. We had to take precautions, of course.
Yeah.
Did you zigzag?
Sure.
Okay.
Did you ever have any instances where you thought, you know, this could be this could be it, this could be, you know, did you ever engage with a submarine or anything like that?
No, we did not.
Any of your landings under fire or anything like that?
Sure.
Well,
In
describe
New
that.
in New Guinea,
You try to explain that to me. Give us that experience of under fire in Guinea.
again, that's something you don't want to repeat. It wasn't too unusual. It's
Was your ship ever hit with machine gun bullets or anything like that?
with shrapnel, yes.
Shrapnel?
Mm,
Artillery fire coming in, is that it?
yes.
And nothing, not one hit your boat, am I correct? Nothing hit your boat, your ship?
Shrapnel, yes.
Just shrapnel?
Yes.
Put some holes in the ball?
No, nothing. No,
No,
we were fortunate.
yeah.
That had to have been a scary experience. What were your feelings?
Yes.
Every day was different, right?
Yes. I remember sometimes we would be carrying Japanese prisoners further up the coast.
Okay.
One time we must have had maybe 50 guard dogs. Just anything you can think of.
You carried.
Yep.
And who would think of guard dogs? That's pretty good.
Well,
The Army.
My next question is, how do you feel that for so many years they said you merchant marines, they're not combat veterans, they weren't in the fray. You can say, no, wait a minute, I got shot at just as much as you guys did, right?
Not as much, no, but I think we had our share.
I think so too. You have enough?
I'm good. Yeah.
That's it, Jim. Well, thank you very,
Yeah.
very much. I like that
Okay,
experience.
well,
That is the first, you're the first.
Thank you very much.
get it? Well, you shouldn't have touched it though, it's still hot. Okay, pick up your other medal.
Ladies and gentlemen, pardon me. So, the Lake Morris Harvey was the last World War II merchant mariner that led this organization. Without his vision,
So the obverse of this medal depicts the merchant mariners. In the front is an engineman, depicted in cambray shirt and ball cap, and behind him an officer in dress uniform and cap. Behind and to the left, a steward is shown in a cook's hat, and to the right, a deckhand appears in rain gear. Finally, a helmsman stands at the ready before the bow of a Liberty ship. The reverse of the medal portrays a convoy of Liberty ships in columns, stretching beyond the horizon as it steams ahead to complete its mission. A V for victory is superimposed behind the inscription, "Full ahead to victory." This medal is truly for our gallant merchant mariners, both those here tonight and those who have passed. Your selfless service and brave sacrifice can never be forgotten. This nation owes you a debt of gratitude that can never be fully repaid. It is to you that I say thank you and job well done. It is my honor to show this tonight. I thank everybody who made the evening possible and everyone who worked to make the medal possible. Thank you all so much.